Well, hello everybody, thanks again for tuning in. Here we are, 300 miles later with the On Cloudmonster. My first run was on April 9th. August 15th, I finished 300 miles on these. So a little over 4 months. I always have at least 2 shoes in my rotation, sometimes 3, really depends. So 4 months to get 300 miles. This is the first version of the On Cloudmonster, and it is quite a deviation from what On has put out before on any of their shoes. And so with that being said, I think they developed a good base and framework from which they can tinker with on future versions. But as for the basics on this one, it's a neutral running shoe. It's good for road or track. It's max cushioning, has 6mm drop. Okay, so this heel 6 millimeters higher than the forefoot. The size 12, 11.6 ounces, and that's 329 grams. I found it true to size. I gave this an A for sustainability. They say they have 35% recycled material in this shoe, and I've started to put in sustainability, rate all my shoes, give them a grade on it, and On has set the bar with this shoe. 35%, I think that's great that they have that. They also even have a shoe, one of the folks in the run club tried it out, which I think was 100% recycled material made from, I want to say castor bean, but I probably shouldn't say that. But and nonetheless, the fact that On has made such a push and incorporated that much recycled material into their shoes, sustainability is very important. So again, On setting the bar with an A, sustainability. And the cost for this, $170. So this is my second pair of On shoes. The first one I ever wore were the Cloud Surfers. That was a couple years back. Didn't like them at all, but this shoe is again a very different shoe, such that On actually markets it as playfully weird. So and I tell you, I knew from the moment I tried it on that it was quite different from the Cloud Surfer. So the first thing that anybody's going to notice when they put this on is the amount of cushioning. It's a max cushion shoe, so very soft, softest shoe I've ever worn. But I'll say it's almost was more like a memory foam once I put it in. So it was very form fitting, and I liked it. But what I liked even better was really the amount of comfort, support, and balance that I also felt when I had the shoes on. As for the toe box, now this is a very big accommodating toe box. You can even see in this video just how much extra material I had all up around the front here. So and I have a narrow foot, I'll say that. But if you have a wide foot, and it's not only just wide, but I almost felt it's kind of tall with the amount of the room in this toe box. So it never bothered me. It was just fine, but it's very accommodating toe box. The other thing, and I'll say this about the On shoe with even the Cloud Surfer I had before, but I think they have down the mesh, this engineered mesh of theirs. It is the best one that I've had, and this is also the Cloud Surfer as well as this one, as being breathable yet also really waterproof. We say weatherproof, but it really comes down to water, doesn't it? It really does a great job of just keeping your foot dry even when it rains, and yet breathing. So that light mesh is really the story throughout this whole shoe. If you look at this tongue, it is probably the thinnest tongue on just about any shoe I've ever worn. Boy, it's very thin, gusseted. Same light material. When you move back to the heel, one of the things that I find quite interesting about it is it's not a very armored heel and shoe. Like, it's very pliable. Really, the whole upper is pliable and light. And I got to say, I love these laces, this lace system, because it's really just one pull, and it cinches up nice and tight. It's just kind of surprising to me the amount of weight of this shoe being that that 11.6 ounces when this upper is just so light. So obviously all the weight's coming down here in the sole. So before I get into the ride, let's just talk about On shoes and where On says you get your energy return from them. They say it comes from 3 different sources. The first are the On pods, these cloud pods that, you know, you find these on all their running shoes. You can probably see right through these. So as you can imagine, when you land, they compress and then decompress to give you some energy return on the takeoff. The second is this helium foam that every shoe brand has their own foam, engineered foam, that they say that they found the magic formula to give you the cushioning as well as the responsiveness. And On's no different with the helium foam. So, and the third area is this, what they call a speed board. In this groove, you can. That's the board on the bottom of it. It runs the length of the shoe, and let's say On says that it engages in every step of your run, working in sync with the Cloud Tech outsole. So it helps you run faster with the same effort. What's not to love, right? So I always classify my shoes as either rockers or springers. Rockers are those that seem, as you move forward and you transition from the ball to the toe, it just kind of rolls and propels you forward that way, where the springers seem to be more spring-loaded and then will snap you up and forward. This is definitely a rocker shoe. It rides to me very similar to a Hoka. I noted in my first impression video how there was the most noticeable rocking hitch of really any shoe I've worn as you transition from the ball to your toe. It was very evident when I was walking the dog, and I felt that all the way through really 300 miles. I never thought it would last that long. I say 300. I know this again, like 295. My very last run was, I actually noticed, I thought there was just ever so slight a dip in it. And when we get to the grip and wear, that maybe actually isn't all that surprising. We'll talk about that. But so it stayed, but surprising to me how consistent it stayed, that rockertivity throughout the 300 miles. But we need to talk about the cushioning. And I don't like a soft, squishy shoe. This, again, I told you, had that memory foam, but I was all right. I liked it. 3 times, I take notes when I run, just any differences I note in the mileage. And 3 different times I kind of said, it almost seems a bit more softer than when I had it on originally, which sometimes may seem a bit counterintuitive. You think maybe the cushioning would break down and become firmer, but no, I felt this actually almost increased in its softness and cushioning. But I can say, even though it got softer, I never quite felt that it got squishy, thank goodness. So if you take a look at my graphs, you can see where we've got the cushioning is actually increases slightly 3 different times, just those times where I thought it got a little bit more soft, and then right at the very end, as far as the rockertivity, I'm dropping it. There's just a bit of a tail off. A couple other notes about the ride, just in general. I never could quite find a sweet spot with speed with this shoe, and I kind of felt like that max cushioning almost acted as a governor, and it just always kind of held you back from being able to go really, fast, or getting a lot of good responsiveness, or finding a really good tempo type of pace. Could never find it with this shoe. And then the other thing was, and this was on the left shoe only, it was mile 120 during that run. This tongue, I was feeling some pressure on it, where it was pushing against my ankle. I never got a hot spot, never blistered, but it's a bit uncomfortable, almost kind of like a bruise, and I'd feel it for probably the first 4 miles or so, and then you just get used to it and seem to go away. But I do think they could probably do a little something different with this tongue going forward. That'd be one of the tweaks. Now we get on to the grip and wear, and I do think 300 miles is probably the breaking point for this. You can see, I'm a heavy heel striker, and this heel pad is pretty much almost all the way worn through. And also kind of unusual for me is I've started to wear through up here uh, on the upper forefoot as well. I don't usually do that. I'm always wearing out the heel, and the issue I think what you're going to find is, while these pads are nice and stiff and strong, as soon as you get off it into this helium foam material, that is soft and pliable. That's going to wear away in no time. And I'm so 300 miles, but I think this pad's going, and I have to say that's probably all you're going to get. There's probably going to be a big drop off in this shoe from this point forward. I always put the grip in there, but I rarely talk about it. But I did think the grip was generally okay, but when it got a little wet pavement, especially in those areas that have been painted over, crosswalks, the grip isn't great on these. Which, funnily enough, also on the other On Cloud surface I really disliked the grip on that one. So I don't think these pads do a great job in giving you that firm base. I just don't think there's enough of a base. Most shoes have more sole touching the ground than these, and so when you have those smaller points of contact, there's more area for slippage. So there you have it. 300 miles on the On Cloudmonster. It's a very unusual shoe. I think On nailed it when they said this thing is playfully weird. It is definitely a weird shoe, but if you like a cushion shoe, highly cushioned shoe that still gives you some power return, you definitely need to give this thing a shot. It's not going to last probably much beyond 300 miles, so keep that in mind. Which leads us to the comment section here. If anybody has run with this one, love to get your impression on it. It's in your comments, especially it's the first version of a shoe. I'm rambling on here, but it'd be great to hear what other people think about it, so you can put it in the comment section down below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, please. We always like people who subscribe, so we're going to keep on taking these different shoes out, trying them. We've got state races that we're putting out new videos. I think the next one we got coming out actually is Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh race, so marathon. So again, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell there. You'll know every time we upload a new video. Otherwise, listen folks, but thanks for watching. Go ahead, sign up for a race, and you can get out and race the nation too. Thanks. Today's stupid thing to argue about with your wife is the best way to kill a mosquito when it's inside the car with you on the windshield. First of all, it's not a blind panic that sets in, but there's just such a general foreboding and nervousness, because if you don't get that mosquito while you have the opportunity, it will end up biting your legs numerous times. Then it's almost impossible to really kill these mosquitoes on the windshield. There's just something about the angle and all, and the depth perception of trying to get them. It's damn near impossible to get them. But my wife and I argue over the best way to do it. Me, I kind of go in for the backhanded, almost like sniper shot. I wait till I got my opening, and I try and go in, because the other thing is you can't. First of all, this angle won't work. Second, you don't want to get too much smudge on your windshield, because you're going to miss it numerous times, and then windshield's going to be filled with a smudge of every reminder every time you try to get it and you miss. I go in with the backhand, I wait, I'm like a sniper. I try and dive in there and get it. Unfortunately, this surface seems to be full of holes, and sometimes I get lucky and I'll maim it, because then when it drops down, it seems to always drop into an area where you never see it. My wife, on the other hand, she just goes for the machine gun and takes off a shoe and will just start whacking away. And because she claims that also does not leave any smudge marks, which is not accurate. It does. And she will just keep on whacking until something drops dead. But nonetheless, I mean, we argue about it, but we both have the same goal: trying to get that mosquito before we know it's going to get to us.